This that
Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
And then one last thing, because people ask, what's the best type of policy? There's a variety of different type of policies, but the policy that I'm using personally is guaranteed protection universal life, because that's a lifelong policy where it's not designed to build cash value. So it's a cheaper premium than a whole life or a IUL. But you don't want to do term with this because term is going to run out.
Yeah.
So you need a permanent type of policy. So for all you people that's like, well, whole life isn't a good investment. Well, I'm not here to convince you that it is a good investment.
But if it runs out and you never get the benefit, that's a great finesse. And I'm pro term in some cases, but if you don't expire before the 20 years or 30 years and then they get to keep all the premium, that's like options for the brokerage houses.
Yeah. 20 years is here.
Yeah.
Expired.
But the guaranteed protection is another choice where it's like a hybrid between term and whole life, where it's not designed to build cash value, but it's going to be here for the rest of your life, so you don't have to worry about it expiring. So
how much coverage are you getting? Or should we
how much coverage? To be determined.
We zoomed in on that.
Mike said, Mike clip that out. Shawty like, what you doing? Boy, okay. Have that offline. Join our group text. Our Make Money group text, and we'll tell you how much coverage you should be getting if you want your leisure to be earned.
All right. Man. So let's get back to this investment conversation. What are 3 things people should do today to make 2023 the best year ever?
Yeah, I put this earlier on social, but you need to write down what your one big personal financial goal is first and foremost. Because most people, when I ask them, I'm like, hey, what are you planning to do in 2023? Most people don't know. Whatever that goal is, 15x it, because you're probably thinking too small. For those of you who are like, hey, I want to make my first 100 grand, my first 200 grand, I'm going to tell you when you get there, it's overrated. You're going to be like, damn, I did all this work for this little bit of money. Number 2, you need to set what your big spiritual goal is for the year. Because the era that I'm in now, like, is what I call my heaven on earth era. Like, I want peace, love, happiness, joy, great friendship, great relationship, great business, all at the same time. Sometimes we'll put the business before health. It's a mistake. Sometimes we'll put the health over the money. Big mistake. I want us to have it all at one time. And then I want you to put the one thing that you're going to do to positively impact the world that puts the numbers in your favor. So one big personal income goal, one big spiritual goal, and then what are you going to do to have impact? Because in order to get the goals that you want, you have to help a certain amount of people. You need that. You need your spiritual life to be, regardless of what you practice, you need peace and harmony there. But for our audience, I want to see us actively run into people on the streets and be like, hey, I made easy $2 million this in the market Mondays. Because once you realize, like, some of these companies are being valued at astronomical numbers that don't, even like with ChatGPT, I think it's a solid invention. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever. They got to 1 million users the fastest. People are valuing it at $3 billion. And I'm like, it's downscaled AI. There are a bunch of apps that are better than that. So if there's so much money out there available for us, why are we only shooting for 100 grand in a year or 200 grand or 1 million? Set your goals a lot higher. Like I won't say my goal because I'm going to be smart like you, Rashad. Save that for a later date. But whatever your initial thought is for what your goal is, set it 15 times higher. And you look at that every single day to get to where you want to be. And 2023 will be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, can I add 1A to yours? Because you said the goal thing. I think, and this is something that I did over the past couple, week and a half or so, it's just like, I want you to take an inventory of your life. Like, really take an inventory, like, really assess what's happening in your life and really evaluate it. Right? I know people say treat yourself like you're the CEO of your life, you're CEO of your family, but like really take an inventory.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, then the chances are we're going to replicate the things that we've done in the past year, past 3 years, past 4 years, past 5 years. And that doesn't just go for like monetary things. I really want you to like assess the relationships in your life, reassess the decisions you've made, whether financial, even in the market. Like, if we don't assess it and we don't understand the lessons learned from it, then we're going to repeat them. And that goes, like I said, that goes from a financial standpoint. that goes from a people standpoint, that goes from a spousal standpoint or relationship standpoint. Really, really reassess what's happening and what got you to the point. If you haven't reached the goals that you set, like every year, everybody has a New Year's resolution, right? And it's like, well, that dies out in February because the same habits, the same things that we were accustomed to, they rear themselves again. And it's like, well, we're in the same place, right? It's that treadmill theory, right? Like everybody running. Life is like a treadmill. Everybody running in place, getting nowhere fast.
Yep.
Like, how do we reverse that cycle, though? Like, we really need to reevaluate the position that we're in and the decisions we made, and see how we can change them. Right? Really have, and like I said, from a family standpoint, for sure. Like, have constructive conversations, not just like, yo, hey, how you doing? Hey, how the kids? Like, constructive conversations, like you said, talking about a trust, talking about a will. These things are important, man.
Spend
if you want to have the best year, yeah. If you want to have the best year, like really assess where you're at, so you can make sure that it's a productive one for you.
And one thing about like what I just said too about the whole trust, I read a comment on Instagram and somebody was like, "Yeah, that sounds so good." I'm just looking for somebody that's actually implementing that to know if it's really real. I just told you it was real. You're not gonna find anybody to implement it because you're not in the circle where somebody's actually like, this is the thing about it. When I was in the space for 12 years, these people never spoke about this publicly. Yep. So it's like you're getting information that
we're not even supposed to have, to be honest.
You're not. Exactly. So it's like, take the information, even if you don't fully understand it, just listen to it, learn more, do some more research on your own. That's important. But telling you, man, you're fighting. It's too many people that's trying to fight information. You're trying to find holes in it. You're trying to find what's wrong with it. I promise you, this isn't theory.
Stop potting in the comments. Yes.
Yeah. Anything that I'm speaking about, this is what I actually learned from on the job training, literally seeing it happen, literally seeing people doing it, literally doing it myself, literally. Yeah. So it's like you're trying to beef with the information that you shouldn't even be really privy to. You wasn't privy to it before we came. So understand that, have some level of appreciation.
I like this shoe.
No, you can't beef with the information. It's extremely important because it's like y'all trying to debate. Ain't no debating. You're trying to debate topics and go back and see, okay, well, what is the loophole? And like, it's not going to help you.
Speaking of debate, should we be number one on cultural impact on every list? Yes or no? Let's get to it.
Well, let's talk about this because there is some more investments to talk about, but let's talk about this since you're at it. Hey. Shout out to Jim Jones.
Hey, Capo.
Jimmy, what up?
Our guy.
Set the internet on fire. Smart.
A genius.
A lot of lists.
A genius.
A lot of lists.
A genius.
Oh, God, here comes the ego part of Ian. I thought he was being humble. I am. For entertainment, though.
Shout out to Jim Jones. So he made a podcast. He made a list for top podcasts. And it was actually brilliant because I never saw anybody actually of any like real level of his stature actually compile a list like this. So when he puts the list out, it really goes viral and people start reposting and people start debating and people feel away about it. And he put a top 10 hottest podcasters of 2022 list out. At number 1 was Drink Champs. At number 2 was $1 Million Worth of Game. At number 3 was Earn Your Leisure.
Earn Your Leisure.
Yeah,
YA.
Go trademark that too.
YA. At number 4 was the Joe Budden podcast. And number 5 was Kai Cent. It's interesting pick. At number 6 was No Jumper. Number 7 was Carisha Please. At number 8 was Kitchen Talk, Mano's podcast. At number 9 was Lip Service. And at number 10 was My Expert Opinion, Math Hoffa.
Math got to be higher than that to keep it real.
So
was a list? So was a list in order?
Yeah, it was in order. He put a number next to it. So
Math got to be higher than that.
So
yeah, I thought that was part of it. I was like, people were like, this should be higher, that should be higher. I thought it was just a list he compiled of 10.
Well, I mean, he put a number. Yeah. If you put a number, something, I'm assuming that number represents where the
Okay.
So now, from my opinion, I think it's a good list. I do think it's a good list. I would add, of course I'm biased, Market Mondays. I would add High Level Conversations, and I probably would add 85 South Show.
Absolutely.
That's just my own personal opinion on it. There's a few. Kai Cent, he doesn't have a podcast, but I understand the rationale behind it because he's on fire right now. But just if we just going to keep it fair. I guess you got to take him out because he doesn't have a show. And Mano's interesting choice.
I like Mano though.
No, he's actually he's a great guy.
Yeah,
solid. Super solid.
And Lip Service might have been a little controversial. That might have been a little controversial.
Shout out Angela.
Once again, Angela Yee, great person.
I ain't running no relationships. Shout out Angela. Who else on that?
It's not even about ruining a relationship. I'm just saying.
No, I'm learning.
No, that's a film.
I'm about to go hella Hollywood this year.
No, that's a film.
Still, shout out to Ally. Shout out to JT Morgan.
So my whole thing is like, I just want to know how we basing it because, and I respect all of these shows, and I've watched all of them shows. But we're not a podcast.
Movement.
So and I just need to know how it's being based because it's like when you base it on views, that's important. And, you know, when you base it on downloads and social media, that's important as well. But I haven't seen anybody do 14,000 people. I haven't seen anybody go to London and have, 4,500 people hanging off the Raptors and Royal Albert Hall. Like, I ain't really seen nobody like in Egypt and Nigeria and in Madison Square Garden.
Houston.
I need to know what the criteria is.
And to be real,
I just need to know.
What have y'all learned from listening to them? Have you made money, got more women, glowed up? Like, what are we doing? And most of them are a copy of a copy anyway.
And that's super respectful though, because I actually love and appreciate all of those shows.
And a lot of them people is friends to the show, but we personally have relationships with them.
And I do think that Matt Hoffa should be higher.
Way higher.
But
yeah, I guess.
I just need to know the criteria.
What defines impact?
What's the criteria?
Yeah.
Because like I said, views are important, and there are shows that get more views than us.
Are they if they're bought? Because I can go spin a bag and go put some money up and get that shit to $2 million a fucking show too.
Who's buying the views?
Real bad.
Would you like to speak on it?
No. See, and I'm an easy out. That's Ian. You know he a Tupac fan. That wasn't us. It's my last comment for the year.
But shout out to all those shows though.
Yeah.
Because they are they changing the game and they doing their thing and they got tremendous cultural influence. But I just look at it like,
Yeah, I think maybe that's a better conversation, right? Influence.
Who's had the biggest impact?
Yes. But
in your life.
Yeah, and there's some that did make. Shout out to B-Dot. Shout out to Elliot Wilson. They said maybe next year, but like that's something that I watch, and especially from a visual standpoint, Rap Radar is dope. So I mean, everybody's doing their thing, but we just got to define what impact is.
It's just different. Like what we've been able to curate, it's just a little different. That's all. Like it's just that ain't slightly. It's heavy.
Forbes, please call. I want to do the top 10 podcasts that generate the most gross revenue.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
Your
Whole
boy
clip going up. I know they can't stand it.